Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Build Own Moto. We've got some things to take care of on my KTM here. As you know, wear and tear happens when you're in the woods, when you hit trees and you're flying around. So we've got to be taking care of this bike. What I've got so far is some wheel bearings because I noticed that my bearings were going in the back. We're talking about some seals, some bearings here. We've also got some rear brakes that we really need to replace on this. They're getting pretty low. It's getting a little sketch in the woods now that I don't have any brake pedal, and brakes are kind of important. The other thing I have is a spark arrestor. I've got to change out. My spark arrestor broke a couple weeks ago. It decided to just come apart. I'm not sure. So we'll take care of that. I got to fix up my handlebar here. I've got a bolt that fell out and then an exhaust bolt, a couple little things like that. So let's get into this video and get this bike taken care of. I want to bring you guys into some close-ups to see how my brakes are getting pretty close. As you can see, the right side here is getting a little bit wore out. The left side didn't quite do its job, and we're going to have to grease that up and make sure it's working properly. The other thing is the amount of wiggle in my rear wheel. So we're going to get that all sorted today, get that all taken care of, and get this bike ready for next weekend's ride. All right, so the way that I like to go about this, I pull out these caps on both ends. This is kind of, I call them spacers. There's a rod on the inside of mine, as well as the bearing is right there. And then we've got a seal to remove. Inside of this, on my particular KTM, there's a snap ring that holds the bearing in. So on both ends, I like to flip it, pull them both out. Next thing we'll do, compare. There's not really any evident differences between these, and we're gonna go ahead and get to the oil seals, or the seals. Next thing we'll take care of, I got this new tool here. I'm testing around, we should be able to pop these right out. So you can get underneath of them. Bam, look at that. Popped right out, looks like there's some garbage behind that one, which would make sense. Looks like the seal went right here, and there's my ring. It's a little snap ring, and I've got the tool just for that. So let's flip it. We'll get the other seal out here. See, right there is my seal that's not really doing much anymore. Garbage got behind it, and it let go. Let's get the other one out of here. I just purchased this tool at RockyMountain.com, and I really, really like this tool so far. It really makes it way easier taking these seals out. So let's go ahead and we'll get to that next part. The next tool that I have is this tool here, and we're gonna look, I believe it was the other side, or was it this side that had that snap ring? This side here that has it. There we are. So we're looking for this ring in here. I'll show you what it looks like. But you take these two prongs, grab that ring. I think mine are the wrong ones, but we can make it function for this. Get in there, grab the ring. Pull it out. Now there's a different tool for this. This is the this would go the opposite way. There's two kinds of rings like this. One kind of ring like this opens up to grab on if it'll focus here. See if I can get it to focus. One kind of ring goes over things, one kind of ring falls into a spot. This one falls into a spot, so you would technically pinch it together. Now the next thing I like to do, take a striker, get my torch going. Now this isn't a crazy torch. It doesn't do anything other than a small flame, and it gets me just enough to warm this up. We just want to warm the hub up. We just want to warm where that bearing sets in up, so that way the bearing has room. We're expanding the metal. Now you don't need it red hot, you just need it warm. Some people freeze their bearing to help fit it in here. I like to just get it a little bit of warm metal going here, which will help me kind of pull that bearing out and pop it out. We're going to flip it once we get this, and we'll pop the bearing out from the other side. Make sure you turn your torch off. We'll flip it. Once you've flipped it, we're gonna grab a couple tools here. Now, I remember in my garage that is getting tools currently, so what I'm using is an extension with a dead blow hammer. We're just gonna kind of pop around it. Just give her a couple good taps. Switch to the other side. I have to move that piece around a little bit. Popped right out of there. I'll show you the bearing here in just a second. Now this time my race got stuck. We'll deal with that here in a minute. There is a way to get that out. We're gonna pull this centerpiece out, which I gotta clean it all. Looks like some dirt got past the seals. Quite a bit of dirt got past the seals. But this is just a piece of aluminum spacer that helps the bike align itself properly. We gotta make sure that we put that back in before putting the bike back together, or the hub back together. Just like that, you've gotten your bearing out of there. Man, is that thing fried. It is nice and hard to turn, or at least it sounds and feels like garbage. So we're gonna work on getting that other race out. Once we get it out, I'll show you guys how to put this back together. All right, guys, after about 15 minutes of struggling, I was able to get it out. What I used was this 30 millimeter socket with a extension, tapped it right out, and as long as it fit, I measured the diameter, didn't damage my hub any, pushed it right out. No problem. Let's go ahead and get back to putting these bearings in. Now the next thing I like to do, I like to use sockets when it comes to pressing these in. So I'll use this socket here to press in this bearing. Now if you notice, the socket is almost the exact size as the bearing, so it's going to be pushing on the outer metal of the bearing. That way that seats in very nice. This bearing's ready to rock. I already measured the size of the OD on this. It should fit right in my hub, so let's get to it. Now, I'm going to be transparent with you. This is where I'm learning. I had to fix this, so I had to pause the video. This bearing goes in last. This is the backside bearing without the seat in it, so I had to warm this up, push the bearing back. This side would go in first, and then you would see it against it after you set that in there. I was able to fix it. We've got good movement there. None of the bearings are damaged, but this is part of the learning process. I'm learning with you guys, and obviously I am new to some of this stuff, and so I appreciate you guys giving me the time of day and learning with me. So we'll continue on. All right, now that we got those bearings in, we're gonna go ahead and move to the next thing, being these brakes here. We probably should deal with that right there, shouldn't we? Let's get that taken care of. All right, let's see here. Remember how these clips come off? They just go out and around. Set that right here. Same with this one here. We weren't quite empty, but the pad wasn't quite working like it should have, so we're gonna go ahead and reset this. Also looks like we lost a piece here. Gonna make sure that we take care of that. It also looks like we lost a piece here, so we're gonna take care of that. What I'm able to do here is probably just compress this bad boy back. Don't see any leaking here. Looks pretty good to me. We'll get that all greased up, taken care of. We don't want to get this grease on our actual rotor. So we got sliders all where they belong. Grease right there. Oh, come on, stay where you belong. There we go. Next, let's get our brakes. Now, what I like to do is I like to make sure that the brakes are the same. And that looks like they are. So next, we're going to go ahead and get these. Go ahead and get these brake pads put into caliper. One thing to remind you of, don't forget to grease your axle. Doesn't have to be crazy, but it's important for this to have some grease on it for rides ahead of you. Now they say when you torque this down, it should be about 60 foot-pounds. This is normally by Newton meters, but since you can convert it to foot-pounds, I've got mine converted, and that's 55 to 60. 60. Once I get it, I like to do 2 taps, 1, 2, and I know that my axle nut is properly torqued. All right, let's go ahead and test our rear brake. We're gonna pump it up, see it grabs there, spin, touch. I'd say our brake caliper is working properly. Let's go ahead and move on to the spark arrestor. All right, so my particular spark arrestor is an HW4, is what this is saying. So I got 2 bolts here and here. I know that my gasket is broken. Got to find one to order for that. But let's go ahead and pop this one out. Once I get in there, this guy, now that it's loose, set my impact up here. We're gonna go ahead and remove it. Being sure not to lose any of the bolts or anything. Oh yeah, I'd say that popped right on off there. That's kind of an issue there, isn't it? Oh yeah, it's just coming right apart. Let's go ahead and get that spark arrestor swapped. I'm gonna wipe out the one that I currently have. So we've got new here compared to old. Lines up the same. We're gonna go ahead and set that guy right in there. Make sure that he's seated properly. Now we've already cleaned the tip. Tip kind of sets on over that, like so. This tip took a spill before I bought the bike, so there is some damage to it, but it doesn't really affect rideability. So I'm not going to change it out because I really like the sound of this thing when it's running really nice. Let's go ahead and get this bolt in here. Get her to settle where she's supposed to. There we go. And the next one, the bottom here. I have to clean this spark arrestor out a couple times a year because it typically will gum up. I run my bike a little bit richer than what they would call for. I run 40 to 1. You could run 50 to 1 on this bike, but I like to run it a little bit more rich. Obviously, it does end up clogging this up. What I think happened is I think someone shoved something down my exhaust when they were cleaning the bike because that is so close like that. It's only a little bit of a ways in, and it ended up ripping it. No big deal. Got a new one, and we've got a spare right here for when this thing gets clogged next. So just swap it and continue on. Spark arrestor change. Let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. All right, so we're going to be replacing this piece here. Now what this is it goes through my handguard and there's a bolt here, bam, into this. Now I've got to make sure that this is meshed properly and pulls through. I had a crash a couple weeks ago, popped right off, made it an issue. So what we're going to do, push it through here, start it. Now I've got to remove this bolt here, which is up on the handguard over here, pull it off, push this piece in, put that piece back on, and we'll tighten it up. Here we go. Still room for my throttle to move. All right, so we have successfully replaced my spark arrestor, my brake pads, and my wheel bearing, and this bike is ready for its next ride. I'm so much more happy with how it's come out. I don't really have anything else that it needs right now. It's about 5 hours from the next oil change, which means the next time I ride this is going to have an oil change. Get that taken care of. But you guys, it's so important that you take care of your bike. If you don't take care of this basic maintenance, you're going to get stranded at the woods at some point. It could be a brakes that go out, could be a broken clutch lever because your handguards weren't ready. It could even be some bearings up here that were problematic. Take care of your bike. Check your air pressure, check your gas lines, check everything that you need to take care of. Even your coolant could be a problem. These bikes, they don't last forever if you don't take care of them, but if you do take care of them, you can make them have a long life. So that's it for this episode. Thanks for joining us. I hope that you learned something along the side of me learning a lot of things about this bike. And we'll see you guys next time. Make sure you like and subscribe. Have a good one.